You should see it.
I'm a single lady. I'm a single lady. I'm a single lady. Now put your hands in the club.
Welcome everybody. I love Beyonce. I just had to give her some props. Welcome to the let me turn this off. Like, I gotta get better. I'm about to add the music afterward. But welcome to the podcast, Unapologetically SHE. This is episode 2, and I am Bipolar Jamey, the hostess with the mostest. And this is my dear friend I met through my sister circle, Colleen, and she's going to introduce herself and tell us about yourself. What makes you a unapologetically she? Go ahead.
All right. Well, nice
Don't be
to
nervous. Don't be nervous.
meet. I'm not, girl. I got you. So, I'm Colleen. I am a unapologetically she bipolar woman. I was diagnosed in college, and it took me many years to figure out what exactly that meant and how that made me different than other people. Through the years, I'm what people would call a success story, pushing through. I've met many people. I actually have a friend who is a psychiatrist, and when she was in finishing her doctorate, when we met, and she was like, "What do you mean you're bipolar?" I'm like, "You're a doctor. You're supposed to know these things." But I pushed through, got my bachelor's, got my master's. I had this successful long-term relationship. I was with my ex-husband for 20 years. Well, I'm divorced, so maybe not successful, but relationships are very hard for people with mental illness. So I consider that length of time a very successful part of my life. I have no regrets because it brought me to where I am today. As Jamey said, we met through my sister's circle. The group has been a lifesaver to get to know other women in not only the Reading area, but beyond, who have mental illness, and to come together to support each other. It's a wonderful group, and if you're not a part of it, I suggest you definitely join us. We have a lot of fun. Jamey is awesome. I'm very blessed to have her as a dear friend. And now that she has her little Apollo pup, well, not little, he's 89 pounds. I'm looking forward to some play dates with my puppies. I am a dog mom. I never had children. I unfortunately didn't have that opportunity. And I'm living life the best I can. I have a wonderful career where I get to help people every day. And I'm blessed. I have a lot of people in my life that support me. One thing that it can be a little frustrating is most people don't understand mental illness and the stigma that's attached to it. My family, I love them dearly, but their favorite thing to say when I'm having a rough time is, "Did you take your meds today?" Let me tell you, if I didn't take my meds, I'd be in the hospital. Medication does not cure your illness. It makes it manageable. And I think, Jamey, you can agree with that a lot of people think you take the meds, it's a magic cure. I did, as you know, Jamey, have a magic intervention. I won't call it a cure because I do still have my depressive episodes. I have bipolar 2, which is some mania, but mostly depression. And I had TMS last year. And basically, for 6 weeks, every day, Monday through Friday, I went down, I drove a half hour to an hour, because they changed the location of the office to being an hour away from me 2 weeks before my treatment was done. And I had magnets on my head to stimulate the sections of my brain related to depression. I would say that I'm in remission because the depression I experience now is what I'd consider like a normal person's depression.
What's a normal person's depression?
Where it actually has a reason you're depressed. And as you know, Jamey, when you have bipolar, you get depressed for no reason. there's not necessarily a cause and depression is the effect. It's you wake up and you think, I kind of wish I was dead. Nothing's wrong in my life. Nothing prompted that feeling. I don't know if you can relate, but sometimes I'd be driving down the road, go over a bridge and think, if I turn my car, I could just go crash my car and die and drown in the river for no reason. I'd be completely fine. You know that feeling?
That's so true. No, like I have those intrusive thoughts, like, and I always wonder, like, if people that don't have a disorder, if they experience those kind of thoughts, is this normal? But what is normal? That's all,
right.
You know, I don't know what normal is.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Exactly. But are these feelings you're supposed to, or thoughts you're supposed to have if you are well? I mean, like, is this like, does this mean we're sick? Does this mean we're going through something? We're suicidal? Not necessarily. I don't think so. But I feel like it definitely,
I agree.
They don't think they have it. They don't have those, some of my friends. So.
Yeah, most of my friends, when I would tell them, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was driving here and, you know, this urge to swerve my car off the bridge. It's not even an urge, it's just the thought. And
it's like,
they think I'm insane. And they're like, how can you think that? And it isn't something that I'm going to act on.
No.
But it's the fact that the thought exists. And that's, I think, one of the things that when, as you said, when you're unwell, we should place a Matchbox 20 unwell in there. Because that song really hits me. I don't know. Do you know that song, Jamey? Matchbox 20.
No, I don't
Unwell.
know rock. I'm urban. I don't know rock.
All right. Well, you need to Google it because it basically talks about mental illness and being the paranoia that's associated with you're on the train, you think everyone's looking at you. And it says, I'm not crazy, I'm just a little unwell. And I think that's the way I kind of like to look at my illness, is that I'm not crazy. I'm just unwell. And it's always been a part of my life. Right. I started having suicidal thoughts probably in like the 4th or 5th grade. I know that I got removed from Catholic school because with my depression, they couldn't handle me. They thought that I had a learning disorder and that it was that I wasn't smart enough to keep up with my classmates. Now, in hindsight, now as an adult and seeing what a lot of my friends have with their children, I look back and feel I was actually a gifted child. And that instead of getting the interventions for being a gifted child, I would get bored in class because I already got it. Why should I pay attention? Exactly. And so why pay attention if I already understand if ever no one else gets it? What do I care? I want to move on to the next thing, or I'm going to chit chat. I'm going to doodle. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep myself entertained because I'm bored. And I wish that they had the interventions for gifted children. And I'm not a lot, maybe they did in public school. I went to Catholic school for the first 6 years of my life. Well, kindergarten through 6th grade. And that was really when I was in 5th grade is when I started having the suicidal thoughts. And I remember talking to kids in the playground because I would get bullied. And they didn't call it bullying when we were kids. But it wasn't just regular mockery. It was real full on bullying from these kids. Horrible things.
What'd you get bullied for?
Just I can take it back to, there was one girl that was really not popular. And you know me, I'm that nice person who wants to, be nice to everybody. And I felt bad that she didn't have any friends. So I went from, having friends to being friends with this girl. And because I was friends with her and nobody liked her, I became unpopular. And stupid things. I totally haven't thought of this in years. But I remember them being like, friends dump. Like they dumped me as a friend in like 3rd grade. And then in maybe like the 4th or 5th grade, this girl transferred schools. And I was left alone at Catholic school. And we had maybe a dozen kids in our class.
Yeah.
And I'd already been labeled at that point for being friends with this girl. So it was tough getting through. And I remember asking the kids in my class, because they would say things like, you'd be better off dead. And I remember asking, how can I kill myself? How can I die so that you don't have to deal with me anymore? And this was back in the 80s when mental health services for kids weren't readily available. It was not mainstream. It wasn't something that people addressed. They brushed it under the rug. And I will never forget that they told me to go home and drink gasoline.
That's just awful.
And it was terrible. And thankfully, one of the students went to the teacher, told the teacher what happened. My mom got called to the school. And that was very traumatic. I had and I'll never forget, my mom took me to get my hair cut and styled to cheer me up, which again, back then, without, and, not being aware of how mental illness works, it seemed like a really great idea. But needless to say, at the end of the school year, I went to public school for the following year and stayed there through graduation. And I think that kind of saved my life, because I was able to be immersed in a larger population, a more diverse population. Not that Rosewood in the 80s and 90s was extremely diverse, but at least I got to meet other people, people from different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, and not to the point that where I have now as an adult. Like even just through work, I've met so many people that I've learned a lot from that I would never have known before.
Yeah, and it's really awful about bullying, because like one of the women in our group, and I'm not sure if you know, her daughter is being—
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, exactly. Her daughter's being bullied. And, hindsight of things, it's such a traumatic experience for children becoming adults in general. But I can see why there's rises in active shooting at school, how that happened, because it's relentless. And especially now that we have social media, even when you're home, it can still continue. Like it's never ending. And I just wish people could think about how it affects that person. Like, it's not funny. It's not, it hurts and kills teenagers every year.
Yeah.
All the time. And, I just don't understand, bullies. And, people say there's so many ways: bully the bully back, beat them up. Like there's so many things. I even saw a podcast. It was a TED Talk where the guy was like, here's what you do. They role played with this like mild-mannered girl. And she's like, okay, I'll try to be mean to you. And the guy's like, be mean to me. And she's like, you're stupid. Like, it was the stupidest meme I've ever heard. Like, if someone was just like, you're stupid, I would have been like, okay. But she was like trying. And he's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I think you're wonderful. Like, kill him with kindness. And then at the point, she just like ran out of things to say, because she's like, what do I do? He's just being nice. Like, so I was wondering, like, does that actually work, or does it not? Like, what is the answer to bullying? What is it? How do we resolve that as a society?
I wish I knew the answer to it.
Transfer schools, is that the answer? Run away from it? So they go to target another person?
Yep. Yeah, and that's the sad thing with bullying. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is also the parents not being involved, not knowing what their children are doing, not knowing how they're behaving at school. It needs to be reported to the parents, and honestly, the parents are really the ones who need to be disciplining their child, as well as the school system. There need to be some consequences. And as someone who doesn't have children, it's hard for me to say what those consequences should be. But as someone who was bullied, I was also sexually harassed in school. I had a, I'm not going to use the name as much as I want to call this jerk out.
Oh my gosh.
And, but I remember I was in shop class.
Has that jerk changed? Can we call that jerk out?
I don't know. But I hope that he has learned his lesson. I took wood shop because you know me, I'm very handy. I love to do projects around the house. And I took wood shop class in high school. And he would basically be the ringleader. Mark, I won't use his last name, Mark M. So if he ever hears this, he'll know how much he traumatized me. Would take pieces of wood and lift up my skirt. Yeah, he would take pieces of like 2x4s and lift up my skirt, back me into corners to try and grope me. And the teacher did nothing. And when it was brought up to the guidance counselor, because I was obviously traumatized by this, they transferred me out of woodshop class into another class that I wanted to take, which was jewelry making, which I really excelled at. But it was the point of the fact that there were no repercussions for him.
And you got punished, basically.
Basically, I got punished. I didn't get to do something that I really wanted to do.
You know, and I think
it was horrible.
Our society is so rape culture. It really is. And I'm not about slut shaming or over sexualization, but there's so many people in sex trafficking and people that get abused and experiences those kind of things on a daily basis. One time they shouldn't have to, because I don't feel like men are targeted as much. You know, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's, as a society, women that are vulnerable because men kind of rule. It's a patriarchy, right? It's just, you know,
we're starting to see more of an influx of strong women.
We do, but
women are coming out every day, but it's hard.
But how can a person be voted in as a leader and president of the nation when he makes those comments, those sexualization comments, and women themselves?
Oh, you know where I
vote
stand
for him. Women themselves vote for that, which I don't understand. You vote for someone
I never understood
that way. I don't understand that either. I'm not going to get into politics because we can get in it later. It's all story.
That's a hot topic,
It's a hot topic.
You and I can have some fun with that later over drinks.
I'll get hate mail. But you know, and it's sad. I'm sad that you had to experience those things. And it's really sad that people have to experience being harassed and nothing's done about the impunity.
Well, one of the things that you said that I wanted to touch on was that you're right. So many teenagers do die through taking their own lives. However, there are so many of us that die inside and still live through it. And not necessarily completely, but a part of you dies. A part of your self-worth, a part of your innocence dies when those things happen to you. Any type of bullying, any type of harassment, it does affect you. It's a trauma, and you have to work through it. I mean, I'm thankful I have an amazing therapist. Kelly, you're the best girl. I couldn't.
Do you want to plug her practice?
I know, right? Yeah, no, I don't exactly. No, I don't want to embarrass her, but she has been an objective rock for me because, you know, I've got a lot of friends. I'm very active. I have a very active social life.
This woman puts celebrities to shame. She does a different thing every single day. And I don't even, like, I would just film her. She would make a great document. She does so many different things. Travels, eat so many different foods, she's a good cook. Like, I'm just trying to be you. I'm trying to grow up to be you, girl.
I don't know if I want to grow up to be me, but no, I do. I've grown a lot over the last several years, and I kind of met you as I was, I mean, not that my transition will ever stop. I think that it's all about eternally growing for the rest of your life. But if you had met me, say, 10, 20 years ago, I was a totally different person.
What was
Not
that
that I still don't love to, like, you know, shop. Even though I always still had a big heart and like to help people, I had more materialistic and shallow things that were important to me. And not that I don't still enjoy those things.
I know you do.
But I realized that that's, you know, you saw my makeup collection. But to be honest, I started that makeup collection a very long time ago. It's been many years in the making. It's not just all from like the last 6 months, Jamey. But no, I do love my makeup. I love pretty clothes and shoes. Although I am wearing my Be the Voice Stop Suicide shirt today.
Yay!
So, gotta give a shout out to the Foundation for Suicide Prevention, because, you know, as you know, I've done 3 of their overnight walks, and I'm actually gonna be walking again in Berks this year. But
let me know, I might come out.
You like? I would love you to come out. You know, either you walk with me, or we, you know, you can have like a little cheering section. When I've done the overnight walk, I've had friends, you know, my mom, my friends Amanda and Russ, they've come down and actually they will travel from spot to spot at the cheering stations and cheer me on as I go throughout the night. Cool. So that's been really wonderful. Huge support. I've done Philly twice and DC once. So it's a great thing to be a part of, but exhausting because you're walking 17 miles through the night. Yeah. And I'm an idiot and don't train for it. I just go do it. So I kind of consider that like my pilgrimage, you know, my suffering through to do it.
All right. But, I mean,
yeah, but like I said, 10, 20 years ago, I was not the same person. When I was married, I look back and I think there are so many things that I could have done differently. Would that have saved my marriage? I don't know. But I can't look back and say how things are going to change. And all I can say is that I'm happier now that I learned to love myself.
Boom.
And that's exactly it. You know how it is you have to love who you are before you can be open to loving someone else completely. And that's really the best thing.
I never like understood that expression, even this year or last year early, but I was like, I don't have to love myself to love people last year. And I was like, I can love people. And then I truly understand this now and what that means. Because when you don't love yourself and you're trying to love someone else, you need them, or you act, you know, you feel like you need them to be whole. And you're not a good partner. You're losing yourself in it. It's just, and they're having to take on that almost a burden of being your one and only. And that's not what love is. It's not.
Exactly. And partnership, it's a partnership. It needs to be an equal partnership. You know, I was married to my high school sweetheart. I had him on a pedestal that he was the greatest person ever. And I basically worshiped him. I thought he was the smartest, most intelligent person I had ever met and that I didn't deserve. I wasn't smart enough. And I always tried to either, you know, I would make jokes that would like knock him down, you know, kind of be like, oh, maybe if I bring him a little bit down, then he'll be closer to me, or trying really hard, like going on and getting my master's degree. I know a lot of that had to do with insecurity, and I don't regret going back. I do regret like trying to knock him down. Those were, like I said, mistakes that I made in my immature youth. And it was because I wasn't comfortable with myself. Now I'm at a point where I'm comfortable with myself. And, you know, 15 months ago today, I went on my first date with Adam. So that was 15 months, girl.
You counting them?
And, but it like, no, but I mean, the point I'm making is that I can be in a healthy, happy relationship now. Whereas even though I loved my ex-husband and he loved me.
Mhm.
I don't think it was healthy. And you have to love yourself in order to have that healthy relationship.
Exactly.
Where, like you said, you don't need them. You want to be with them.
Exactly. Because they're not, you know, when you have a partnership and they fill a void, when they're not around you, there's still the void. And it's hard to deal with. And that's how, like, when people can, like, pass through life, but it gets hard because when you're not with that person, which you can't be 24/7, that void is still deep and it's hard. Like, but I really, really appreciate how you were acknowledging, like, you made mistakes as your youth. You know, that takes some evolution, some evolving to realize you're not perfect and point out areas where you can change and be a happier, better life. You know, that's what it is. Your bestest life. So I'm really happy.
Exactly. Gotta live
I
your
know,
bestest life.
Can I say, like, something without you being embarrassed? Like, I know, like, you when you first got with Adam, how'd you feel?
I felt very insecure because you know what Adam looks like. I'm sure you remember the post after our first date. You know, where I had posted that you're laughing
like
at me, but
you're crazy beautiful, and this woman felt insecure about that. Stop playing.
no, I just remember posting about how I went on this date and I assumed he was going to be a catfish, so I don't know why I even showed up because he was just so beautiful and so sweet, and you know, just in the conversations before meeting. And then when he gets there, I almost like, you know, that scene, I think I told you, like that scene in Roger Rabbit where he sees Jessica Rabbit and like the eyes pop out, the heart starts beating, like the tongue rolls out. I was just like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my entire life. And all I could think was, there's no way, like, he's going to cut this date short. He's going to be like polite about it. We went in, we talked, we had a good time. Remember walking up, he walked me to my car at our first kiss, and I was just like, oh my God, like, this guy is the greatest. And then I went on, when I got home, I went on our site and I was like, oh my God, I had the best date ever. And like, I know I'm never going to see him again, but just the fact that I got to kiss this really hot guy who looks like a model, like, that was so worth just going out. Because it was a spur of the moment meeting. We had a date scheduled for Friday, and I was like, hey, I go off call at 9 o'clock if you want to meet up, because I was on call for work at the time. And he's like, sure, I'll meet you. And we met up, and you know, and I remember one of the other girls, don't want to call her out, but she had also had a date at this, you know, at the same time, and we were kind of talking about, like, you know, the insecurities that we had. And you know, it's just 15 months later, I'm like, oh, this is right.
She was like, this ain't gonna work out. He ain't gonna want me. I mean, what are women insecure about? The things that women are insecure about. What? Our weight, our age. What? I could go on. That's the point.
Yeah.
I can go on a million times. Men, what is their insecurity? Do I got condoms? Maybe not, actually. That might not be a good one because they don't really care about that.
No, I'm thinking it's like the hair. It's hair. Are they losing their hair?
Maybe.
I think that's the only thing I've ever met guys insecure about was their hair.
Their hair, that's about it. Because you can be a fat old man and still think you can get a 19, 21-year-old. And I'm like, if they have daddy issues, I guess. Shit. I
daddy issues, or the guy has a lot of money.
Oh yeah, sugar daddies, right? Sugar daddy. That's
sugar
another
daddies.
thing. Oh my God, girl, like, get in the underground. If you get into the underground scene, you see some craziness. You know, I ain't gonna tell you. I will talk some, because I know you got a job, like, right now or whatever. But I mean, I was just like, shoot, I got a job too. Oh, Does that ever stop me though? Nah. So, this one dude, I was like on the site because I'm trying to date or just be out there. And he was like, I'll pay you to burn me with cigarettes. I was like, what? Can I smoke
My
them
question would
too?
be how much?
I was like, can I smoke them too? Because I'm trying to quit smoking. I was like, anything to the urge to smoke at that moment.
Can I smoke it as I burn you?
I know. I was like, let me get a couple of hails. I'm trying to quit smoking. That seems desperate.
Oh my
And
God.
that's when you know you got an addiction. You desperate like that. But I was like, okay, I was willing to do it just because for kicks and giggles, I like to just do weird stuff, but I did not do it. But it's just
There
men.
are some crazy like guys out there, and people looking for all sorts of fetishes. Like,
Girl,
I can't tell you, there are a lot of people with foot fetishes.
Girl,
Let me just tell you. I mean, I'd have guys be like,
easy one.
can I
No,
rub your
that's a
feet on our
normal one.
first date under the table when I take you out? I'm like, no.
That's normal.
That's number
Foot
one.
fetishes are normal. I'm
Not like
talking
if
about.
it gets them off and they're on a first date rubbing your foot under the table. I had a guy who asked me if I would change his diapers because he liked to be dressed up as a baby. I'm like, where am I meeting these weirdos? Oh, online.
Wait, Jill, did you say yes or no? Did you say yes or no?
No.
I didn't know.
I said no, girl.
Know. I don't know. You seem open. I don't know.
Yes.
No, but okay.
I'm not that open,
I don't know. A couple wines. Say some. Your wine station. Yeah. See, I don't know. You get kind of wild. But like, I know this. I was looking at this, like some of these fetishes I had to look up. I'm like, what the hell is a fig fetish? And I'm like,
fig's the fruit?
Like I like to look at like people putting in their like, when there had to be like, okay, back in the day, there was newspaper and people would post ads for like personals and stuff. So I like looking at people's profiles because it's like a personal to me and they're interesting. Like, so I'm like, this guy likes figging. What the hell is figging? So I Googled it and it's basically he likes shoving horseradishes up his ass for the burn. Yeah. Wow.
You learn something new every day, Jamey. And you know what? I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing about figging.
Well, now you know if someone asked you. I'm just trying to help you out.
Yeah. I appreciate, that all the knowledge that you bestow upon me.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not ever online dating again. I do.
Oh yeah. Stay out when you can.
Yeah, staying out.
It's hard. It's freaking hard. People ghost you for no reason. I was making a joke because I'm really like, did I tell you I was making a joke? So I was like talking to this person on Facebook dating, and I was like, they're like, oh, I work in retail. And I was like, oh, cool. Where do you work at? And so I can get a discount. Blocks.
What? Oh my God. You're like, I was joking. Yeah.
I should have said JK at the end. I messed that up. Yep. That was on me. Those two initials got me blocked.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of when dating the queen of ghosting. And I apologize if anyone I ever ghosted watches this, but it's just because I'm very non-confrontational and I don't want to like every time I've tried to get rid of someone that I wasn't interested in without just ghosting them, they won't go away. They totally stalk me. Like I had this one guy who like used like a Wi-Fi scrambler to put presents on my front door. Like, because I have the Ring doorbell, so I always know. And he used a freaking Wi-Fi scrambler to come to my house and put things on my door. Not once, not twice, 3 different times. Finally, I was just like, I can't even I'm like, this guy's crazy to the point where I can't even block him. Like, I can't ghost him. So I was just like, yeah, I'm in a really bad place and I just not ready for a relationship. Blah, blah, blah. It took another year of every so often him being like, are you okay? Can we start hanging out again? I'm like, block after a year. I was like,
You,
yeah, Adam and I have been together for like almost a year at this point, and this guy was still, you know, what can I say? I guess I'm just amazing. Just kidding. Um, but no, I would, and not that I didn't get ghosted myself, so I know that it's a very common practice. I know it
it
sucks.
does. If people are being creepy like
It
that, it's not
sucks,
good. It's not good. I mean,
but yeah, no, this guy was creepy.
oh gosh. I mean, I was just watching. If
I
anyone
almost
watches,
married a guy that like I wouldn't
what
go away either.
you did,
I remember
why? Because
I
you
told you I was engaged, and well, no, but when he first started messaging me, I was like, "Oh, you live too far away." I wasn't really interested, and he just like was so persistent, and I'm just so non-confrontational
you would
that
take
I
that to the
agreed to go
altar.
out with him. And next thing I know, yeah, I almost did. And it's like I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? Um, I'm sure there's someone great out there for him, but it wasn't me.
Who
We're
said
just kind
that?
of on different.
Somebody said something recently. They're like, it. Oh, I forget who said it, but they're like, this person wasn't my Prince Charming, but this was this was probably someone else's or someone like that. Like, I don't know. Someone said that. I thought that was cute. Like,
Yeah, and that's the way I think that there's someone for everyone.
yeah,
It was funny because I
yeah.
was actually having a conversation at work today with one of my colleagues, and he was like, "Why are women so crazy?" I said, "It's not that." I said, "All women are bitches and all men are assholes. It's just finding someone at a level that you can tolerate for the rest of your life, because we all have our issues. It's about finding someone that you can blend with. Like if someone's like crazy up here and you're like, crazy down here, that's not going to work. But if you're both an equal level of crazy, somewhere in the middle, like I don't think if you're crazy up here, you probably, and someone else is crazy up here, that's going to end up on an episode of like Forensic Files, because someone's going to kill somebody. But most of us live in like the middle area of like asshole and bitch, and finding someone like in that middle area that jives with, yeah, men are assholes, women are bitches. And does that make
so
sense to you?
You're
It was funny. My colleague
school.
said I should be a therapist because I explained it so well.
You're so old school. I mean, dating's hard. I mean, I feel like all sorts types could work. It just depends. It just depends the work you want to put into it. If you click in some way,
Exactly.
you could be opposites, yin and yang. You could be completely
Oh
alike.
yeah.
You just like it's just. But I mean, like I'm scared about dating because of the safety reason, like you pointed out. That's some crazy stuff. I was just watching. It's like born different. I'm not born differently, but like something life on freaking Facebook, and this woman was like talking about when she was 16, she dated an older man, and he was he wanted to see her, and I don't know, they were going through something or whatever, and he paid two guys to throw acid on her face. In another country, those things, yes, that shit happens.
That actually
In another
happened to
country,
someone I know. When I lived in New York,
acid.
there was one of our
They work.
clients at when I lived in New York and I was working with the blind, when one of the women that I knew who was blind, that's how she went blind. It was another
Yeah,
country, and
other countries are
a
scary,
crazy
baby.
ex threw acid on her face, and she
Yeah,
was left totally blind. And it was
that's
so
what.
traumatic. And she ended up meeting someone here in the States, and they were, I haven't seen them in years, but they were very happy together last time when I left New York. And I wish them the best if they're still
That's some
together, or even if they're not, I
scary.
hope they both find happiness.
That's some scary
But yeah,
shit.
she was crazy smart and brilliant, and she was going to school when I was up there, so I'm sure she's got a very successful life. But all because she dated someone who was unwell in a very negative way. Because
Exactly.
as you know, there's different levels. There's unwell, like
Warning
normal,
signs.
and
Warning signs.
warning
There's got to be
signs.
some red flags, warning signs, maybe. Some women intuition, your third eye, your blind eye. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that women are like really prepared to not accept things because they can get worse and people can manipulate you and make you feel some kind of way and forget who you are. And that's how domestic
Oh
violence
yeah.
intimate partner violence, whatever you want to call it. Like it fits in.
Mm-hmm.
And like 1 minute you're in this great relationship, and then 1 minute you're like Sally Field in No Child Left Behind in a Muslim country. I'm sorry, but I saw that movie. Not
I know
what
what
was
you're
that movie
saying.
called?
It's like it goes from a great relationship to something negative, and it makes you wonder, like, do I know this person?
Were there signs? Are there signs? Like, what are the red flags for a relationship? I feel like one of the red flags is control.
Mm-hmm.
When
That's a
they start
huge one. That's
controlling
when
you.
I was almost when I was engaged. It was that control, because I was coming out of that. I had just come out of that relationship when we met. But it was a lot of control.
Yeah.
No,
What are like? How would you explain
it
control though?
starts out.
How would you
It
explain? Like,
starts out with kind of sweet and romantic. Oh, I want to be with you all the time. Well, then that be with you all the time is you can't have your own friends. You can't have your own life.
Isolating you. Isolating.
I have to isolating you or having to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I dated someone once who had all these rules and regulations because I couldn't go to a bar. Even if I went to a restaurant that had a bar, I was not allowed to sit in the bar area, even if that was the only table with my friends, for fear someone would hit on me.
Right. Or people telling you what to wear, right?
They wanted 95% of my time.
People telling you what to wear, where to go.
Yeah, what to wear, where you can go, who you can hang out with, who you can talk to on the phone. You know, it's things like that. It got to the point with my ex, when I was engaged to, we started couples counseling before we were even married, and that should have been a big red flag. And I remember that when we split, my therapist said, when I texted her that I had ended things, she's like, I was in my living room and I went, yes, because she's like, I didn't want to tell you what to do, but I knew that this was not good and healthy for you. And I'm glad that you saw it on your own.
Why?
But the thing, and a lot of times with an abusive relationship, they do. What's that?
Why do therapists say that though? Like I've seen people like, why do therapists want you to recognize it? Why can't they just tell you? Because I'm like, feel like
because that's not their job. It's you have to change yourself. And they can guide you. I mean, there were plenty of times where she said, "Is this the type of life you want to live? Do you see yourself happy in 5 years with this?" And me and my stuck head would be like, but he does all these sweet things. He buys me flowers every month on our anniversary. He does all the laundry, or he does, XYZ, because he knows I hate to do it. But the sweetness ended up kind of not balancing out with the other things, because like I'd be stressed about bills and he'd be buying me $75 flowers from a florist, having them delivered to work, because to him it was about getting that attention and getting me making a Facebook post about, oh, how sweet he is, and all the people at work being so excited, oh my god, you got flowers, you have the best fiance ever. And it was more about the appearance than what really mattered, because it's like that $75 could have gone to bills.
Right.
Or if you wanted to do something, go to the grocery store, buy me a $10 bouquet. No, I mean, bouquets at the grocery store, 10 to 20 bucks. Buy me one there and drop it off at work if you need it to, be at my office. But, it was all about the grandeur and making so it also made him look better to people on the outside. Now, my people who were close with me knew all the craziness that went on inside of our relationship, because, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. But people on the outside, that gives that appearance. And I think that happens a lot to people in relationships, that it looks good from the outside. Even though you yourself are hurting, you don't want to seem like, that asshole who just like ended with what everyone else is thinking was a great guy. But it gets dangerous. Like you said, we watch all those shows.
Oh yeah.
Fatal Attraction type stuff. And I saw this one show called Dear John or Deadly John. I don't remember what it was, but it was like it was about this, like, the guy seemed great in the outside, but he was crazy.
Yeah, and it's very simple, like manipulation, gaslighting, all those are terms that,
Oh, gaslighting is bad. I mean, you and I have talked about gaslighting,
yeah, because I
talking about
wasn't
how,
quite understanding what gaslighting was. So I'm like, exactly what is it? I was
yeah,
like,
it's another form of manipulation, getting someone to believe that what happened didn't happen or it's their fault.
mm,
Um,
that's a good way of putting it.
I think that's one of the reasons that I'm so appreciative for my relationship now is that over the last 8 years, I've been through some really, really rough ones. Um,
Mm,
not all, but there was gaslighting in there from one ex that would cheat on me and tell me, well, it was my fault because I wouldn't do X, Y, Z that he wanted me to do, and that was
mm,
my fault that he needed to punish me. I'm like, that's just not. If you cheat, that is on you. That is not on me in any way, shape, or
right,
form. Um,
right. I mean,
so,
you hear that,
but that's gaslighting right there.
isn't that so, like, some people in domestic, um, issues, they'll be like, you made me hit you, what you did,
Mm-hmm.
it's your fault that I
Yep.
hit you, you know,
Yep.
it's never your fault that you're getting hit. No one should
No.
put hands on you, period. As a woman, as a
Period. Yep.
man, it's just not
Mm-hmm.
a good relationship. It's not, there's no
No.
need. There's no need. I mean, luckily, I haven't been in too many relationships that's been violent, but there has been some violence in my relationships. And
Yeah.
I can
And you
just
shouldn't have
imagine,
to experience that at all.
right, especially name calling and just really just being very mean to you and saying mean things to you. It brings you down, and you think
Mm-hmm.
that they'll get better, they'll say what they're gonna do, and they'll get help, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Then you gotta go.
Yep.
And
Exactly. That psychological abuse is just as bad as physical abuse.
it is.
Um, in some
It,
ways, it's worse because usually they're hand in hand. If someone doesn't
yeah.
just hit you without saying something nasty to you at the same time, and that's the scars stay forever, and you have to work through them so much that I
Yeah.
think that's a big takeaway is that it comes back to what we said in the beginning. You have to love yourself before you can love someone else so that you can
Hmm.
recognize that you deserve better if the person that you fall in love with were to treat you that way.
Yeah. And that I think that, like, it's important to, like, know your worth, because it's how else are you going to be happy if
Yeah.
you are people pleasing, if you're doing things for other people? When will you get to feel special? When will you
Right.
get to feel cared for? When will you get to feel? And it's like, you're just as important as the people that you want to be with. You have your
Yeah.
worth. Know it. Know
Exactly.
it. And it's not a
Know your
physical
worth.
work.
That's really what it boils down to.
It's not a physical work that you're just there sexually for men or sexually for whomever. And I don't think that that's our worth. I think our worth is
Mhm.
here in your heart, your soul, things that you can't see. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's really what it boils down to is the things that you can't see are really the most important. I
Yeah.
used to always say beauty fades, stupid is forever. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
there's a
eventually.
longer story behind that. I'll tell you some other
Okay.
time. I've got a
Okay.
couple
Well, we'll
sayings,
have you
but
back. We'll have you back on. But, like,
yeah,
it's like, your looks are don't last. Your
right.
mind
It's what's
sometimes
in
don't even
here.
last. Yeah,
True.
your mind don't even last, right? So
Yeah.
what is important is now,
Yep.
you know? You
Who
save
are
all
you?
this
How do you
money,
treat people?
how you treat people, memories, experiences, who's in your life, all of that's very important. Materials, you can't take those with you to the next life.
Exactly.
None of it.
Mhm.
I don't know what everyone believes in, but I'm very spiritual. I'm not really religious per se, but I'm very spiritual. But I do believe there's something more to life. And mindfulness, that's what they teach you. Mindfulness. Your therapist is,
Yes.
I hope your therapist is gonna watch and see how well you're doing. For her notes,
Oh,
she just said
yeah,
write
and
it
she has
down.
sent me the mindfulness app a couple times that I regretfully don't use as much as I should. But she'll be like, practice your mindfulness. And I'll be like, yeah, I don't have time for that. But I do need to make more time for mindfulness.
You do. You running and bustling. You running and bustling 24/7. But
I know
see
this
her.
weekend, this weekend drained me, Jamie. I was exhausted. Saw Tracy Morgan Friday, Randy Rainbow and AC on
Wow.
Saturday. Sunday,
Wow.
I did not get out of my robe until 7 o'clock.
Do you have one day where you just chill at home? Just one day? Because that's my whole week, chilling at home.
Yeah, no, I don't. I wouldn't say it's a specific like period of time that I need a chill day, but every so often like I said, Sunday, I did not get out of my
Okay.
robe.
Okay.
I ate lunch in my robe, I ate dinner in my robe, I cooked in my robe. I didn't care. I just relaxed. It wasn't until 7 o'clock at night um,
I get
that
it.
I got out of my robe. And but it's very rare that I take that day because what keeps me going
Yeah. What's the secret of
is
life? What's the secret
being
of life?
busy and being with people.
That's
The
the
secret of
secret of
life,
life.
the 42. 42 is the
42.
meaning of life.
Is
Yeah, I
that
have to watch
what's your?
read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, I thought that was like your bra size or something.
No, no, it's not. No, at 42
Um,
is the meaning of life.
and see, that's what I do, people.
It's a
I
good
make people
book.
feel awkward. I make people feel so awkward. If only I was drunk when I said that. I could bring it on the apple juice. No, I haven't really.
You told me you were getting wine. You said you were getting
I
wine. We're
my
gonna drink
dog got
wine together
diarrhea.
tonight.
Yeah. Oh my God, my new dog got diarrhea, and I didn't get a chance to stop at the wine store, so I just drunk apple
Okay.
juice. But feel free to drink some wine for me, and pour some out for
I
everybody.
will. There you go,
But
everybody. Cheers.
I'm really glad you came on to do our second episode of Unapologetically SHE. You're a very inspiring
Thank you for
woman.
having me.
No, thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you. Blessed. Namaste. I
And thank
appreciate it.
you for being a part of my life, Jamie. I'm
Oh my
so blessed
God.
to have you.
I'm so glad to know you. I'm so glad. Like, it's awesome.
Hey, you need to make that butter chicken and come over here for dinner and drinks sometime. We need to figure out because you promised me butter chicken.
I know. I promise. It's really good too. All right, I guess you bet. Once I get all situated and move, I'll put you.
Yes, once
I'll
you're all
start
moved.
maintaining. Yep. Get me a calendar. Start having a personal life, social life again, chilling. So I'm really glad COVID is wrapping up, or not, whatever. But we're opening back up, so that's great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I've hoped to hear more about you and your Adam. Maybe if I get you drunk enough, you'll tell me the details. But
oh God, maybe.
Yeah. Thanks
if you're here for dinner, he's going to be sitting here going, "Oh God, shut up."
Yeah, make him blush. Make him blush. I can't wait to steal Peanut. I feel like he keeps moving under my shirt. I can't sneak him out, but I will steal that little chihuahua. You'll feel.
Bye, Peanut. Just leave Daisy, Chester, and Rodney, and I'm good.
That's funny. All right. Well, thank you again. I hope you come back. I hope you share. I hope that you plug in. Oh, here, let's plug my sister Circle. She is a member. She loves the group. Been a member for what, 2 years now?
I love
We're
it.
having a picnic, and she's gonna
be since close to the beginning.
What?
Yep.
What?
I said, since almost the beginning.
Yes, definitely. So.
I said I've been a member since almost the beginning. Yeah.
So definitely a great group to meet people, and we met. So obviously, definitely check us out. Check out another Unapologetically episodes with Justine And that's going to be on the next one. So check us out. All right. You want to say anything to the folks?
Yay.
That was it. That was what you want to say.
Have a great one, everyone.
All right.
I feel like I rambled,
Ah,
but that's what you wanted me to do.
I know, right? All right. Take care. Peace out. Namaste.